Hello and welcome to my Game Design 3 assignment presentation. My name is Joey V and today I'll be showcasing an action block I created as part of the Scraps project. This pressure pad mechanic can trigger various in-game events, including opening doors, activating platforms, and detonating TNT. The focus of this presentation is the pressure pad. This mechanic detects player interaction and sends activation signals to connected objects within the level, adding layers of interactivity and puzzle solving to the gameplay. Taking a look at the blueprints, we'll look at BP Destroy Fence. First, you'll notice that event begin plays ensures that is destroyed is set as false, saying that the fence is not destroyed. When you call on event destroy fence, it then destroys the actor, which is the fence, and it sets it to is destroyed. If you look down at the variables, you can see there is a destroy fence refs array. This is set as an array to allow one pressure pad to destroy multiple fences. Now we'll look at BP pressure pad dynamite. This, of course, is the pressure pad to the dynamite. One thing to note is that the pressure pads mostly all have the same functionality. So I could have just made one parent class as a pressure pad and added the individual things for the dynamite and the doors, etc., but I wanted to make sure I did each of them separately to ensure functionality. Looking at event actor begin overlap, it checks to see if the pressure pad is currently active. After it checks if the pressure pad is active, it searches to see if the overlapping actor is BP Scrapper, a light crate, or a heavy crate. Once it determines it's one of those three, it's then set to active. Once it's active, it'll iterate through every one of the fence arrays in a for each loop, and it will play a timeline that shows the pressure pad being depressed. The same goes for event actor end overlap. It checks to see what exactly is on the pressure plate or what is leaving the pressure plate. It sets it to inactive, and then it loops it again through a for each loop with the fence array. Depending on if the pressure pad is active still, it plays a sound and the material color is changed for the button. If the button is activated, it calls it on-event explosion from the dynamite. Taking a look now at BP Crate Heavy, you can see that I took all of the parent's functionality from the BP Fizz object base. I made sure to set dampening so the block wouldn't act as if it were on ice. And then I made sure to use the on interact, event disable, event on reset, and event on drop functions to set the physics and set the crate to be able to be pushed. Looking at BP Destroy Dunnage, on event begin play, it is set to be not destroyed. When the event to destroy the dunnage is called, it destroys the actor, and it sets it to is destroyed. This is the same logic for the BP destroy fence as well. Also, if you look, you can see there is also an array for destroyed dunnage references. Therefore, if you have multiple dunnages within the level, you can use one pressure plate to destroy all of them if you set it that way. This is BP destroy fence. As you can see, it looks exactly like BP destroy dunnage. The only difference is there is an array for destroy fence instead of destroy dunnage. This is BP dynamite dunnage, which will also be the same for BP dynamite fence. On event begin play, you want to make sure that it's set to not exploded and to make sure that there is no fire visible. When event on explosion is called from the actual destroy dunnage, it will run a check to see if it already has been exploded. If it hasn't already been exploded, it sets a visibility of the fire, sets a 1 second delay to allow the fire to reach the dynamite's fuse and explode the dynamite. It turns off the fire, it destroys the dynamite, makes a boom, sets to is exploded, and then it calls to make sure to destroy all dunnages within the array. The same thing happens with BP dynamite fence. Turns off fire, destroys dynamite, has it exploded. It calls to destroy all the referenced fences. Going on to the pressure pads, this is BP pressure pad dynamite. Checking with event actor begin overlap, we see if the pressure pad is active. If it is, we see who or what is on the pressure pad. It then runs through all of the fence arrays in a for each loop, animates the pressure pad to go down. Then on event actor end overlap, it does the same checks as it does when something enters it. Once it runs through the arrays, it determines that if it is active, it'll play a sound and change the material and destroy the dynamite. If false, it'll play a sound, set the material, and do nothing. As you can see, it calls back to the BP dynamite fence on event explosion. On BP dynamite dunnage, it is the same exact process, except for blowing up the dynamite for the fence, it blows up the dynamite for the dunnage. Looking at BP door, checks if the door is already open. If it's not open, it plays a timeline that moves the position of the door to open it. It sets the door to is moving, and then it asks if the door is making noise. If it's not making noise, it plays the noise and sets to is door moving. Once that's finished, set is door open is true. The door is no longer making noise and the door is no longer moving. And the opposite happens when the door closes. Looking at the pressure pad to the door, it's the same as all the other pressure pads, except it toggles door open. I also have this set as an array, so you can open many doors with one pressure pad. Moving on to the BP moving platforms. This also has an array for the platform references. This way, one pressure pad can activate many platforms at once. At the very beginning of event begin play, set the ghost mesh and endpoint to not visible, and set the end location of the ghost mesh. This means in the editor you can drag the ghost mesh and move the platform to wherever you want it to go. When the event activate moving platforms is called, it sets its active to true, plays the movement audio component, and activates the timeline for the moving platforms. The moving platform moves in between the start location and the end location. The only difference between deactivate moving platforms and activate moving platforms is the audio plays for activate and the audio stops. The audio stops for deactivate, and of course is active is false on deactivate moving platforms. For the auto platforms, I have it set to hide the visibility of the ghost mesh and the endpoint again, getting the endpoint of the mesh, and just playing the movement at all times, activating the timeline to constantly move the platform automatically back and forth from the start and end location. For the BP pressure pad platform, the logic is the same for the platforms. The only thing that's different is when true is called, it activates, and when false is called, it deactivates. One thing to note is when placing the asset into the editor, you want to make sure that you sent the arrays and the references for each of the associated platform, pressure pad, dynamite, and dunnage. Thank you so much for your time. If you have any questions, please let me know. Have a fantastic day.